because I saw some people that weren't thrilled, and you know how I am when it comes to these types of finishes where it's not like a clean finish, right? So, how do you feel about Drew essentially winning because Logan punched Randy with brass knuckles?
Oh, that was a theme throughout the entire match. I love that theme throughout the entire match. That every elimination or pinfall that Drew had was because of someone else's doing. And
Mm.
if you notice that, that was one thing in Drew's story that has been a constant theme, that he's always got screwed over by being that guy who's the victim of it. And now in this new dark era, he is the guy that's benefiting off it. And to him, that's what it takes to be world champion. So I loved it in that regard because it plays very well into his story and storyline, however.
Mhm.
And it's fine. It fits. Like any other time, I agree that it's overused and all right, yeah, it's just like a formula to set up a new feud, whatever. No, this has a little bit more substance to it. And to me, it's going to be interesting now with the build up to Mania, what he's going to do to kind of set it up so that he takes advantage of Seth.
Yeah, like I obviously am very vocal about hating this type of thing, especially depending on
Very.
who's in the match, and the circumstances. But to me, this felt like, yeah, I mean, you knew something was going to happen. I mean, we already saw AJ Styles in the ring doing that with LA Knight. Logan Paul takes out the brass knuckles, and you know they're not gonna like not do anything with it because essentially he did a bunch of like ha 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 and then gets RKO'd out of nowhere, and it's
That
like,
was
okay,
so funny.
you knew that they
So
probably weren't just gonna leave it at that. And when we were talking about uh what could potentially happen with Logan Paul and LA Knight, because that's what we thought was the direction that they were going to go in for Mania. We were talking about him bringing out the brass knuckles and either him using them to take LA Knight out of the match, or, you know, trying to use them. LA Knight gets the better of him and eliminates him. Then that is something that becomes something, right? So it's like this was their way of just solidifying, yeah, Logan's going to be facing Randy probably and Kevin Owens at Mania. So unfortunately, Drew just had to deal with it like in that moment, because the only way it would have worked is if Drew pinned Randy, that Randy wasn't the last person in the match with him. It would have had to be there was someone else in there for it to be like a clean finish. You know what I
yeah,
mean? So I feel like just given the circumstances, I think it's fine. And like I said, he was one of the first two in the match. Like you can't say like, oh, he got this win handed to him. Not really. He
no.
was already in there for like 40 minutes. So
Oh no, he went the
um
entire distance. Yeah.
and so to address what Vinny was saying, I can't see the comments, but from what he was saying, that Randy should have won. We've talked about this so many times, so I'm just going to say it again. I understand that people aren't big fans of Drew. I'm not really sure where this whole thing about like him not getting any sort of reaction is coming from, because that's not true either. Um, there are so many more storylines that can come out of Drew facing Seth and beating Seth at WrestleMania. There's like so many feuds, so many storylines, so much of everything that you could possibly want. Um, Whereas Randy's on SmackDown, so if he won the match, he would be facing a Raw champion. They're clearly not bringing him to Raw, so that wouldn't work. And
Mm.
let's say they did do that. There's no storylines for him on Raw because he's
There's
on
none.
SmackDown. And Seth beating Randy would be like, okay, you know, like, okay, then Seth is still a boring champion because there's nothing for him right now. So, yeah, to me, Drew was the only choice.
It was the only choice. It really was the only choice.
Yeah.